The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power has had its first full-length trailer drop. We've had teasers, teasers for teasers, promotional images, and now the trailer. And I'm still a mixed bag about this. I wasn't super hyped on the show for quite some time. I saw the images drop for the goblins they had and was immediately like, those are some pretty good goblins. And this trailer itself had some things I definitely actually really liked and made me have a lot more questions as well. But let's go ahead and walk on through the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power trailer to give our full thoughts on the major things we see. The first thing I actually want to talk about, though, is the music for this trailer. I really liked this score, and if this is going to be reflective of the whole score we're getting throughout the show, fantastic. If this is just doing one really high effort score that we'll hear within the show and they're using for the trailer, I get it, and I look forward to hearing it in the show. But in terms of music, which has always been very important for Tolkien adaptations, that's also going into the plus side check for me. That's a +1 right there. I did like the actual presentation audio-wise for this trailer. And then we had these opening lines about how there was a time when the world was so young, there was no sunrise, blah, 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 blah. Tolkien fans know what that's about. And I am, again, reminded a little bit of the fact that there's going to be a lot of moving the pieces of Tolkien lore into different places than they actually are, time-wise, to try and make this story have one cohesive narrative. And I get and respect that. I know that translating any story across medium is very difficult, so I'm not upset at the idea that, yeah, they're going to have to be wiggle-woggle and some stuff. It just, of course, still does make me nervous. And also the shot of having the sunrise line right as you kind of realize that that sun you're seeing is actually the tree, that's pretty good. I did like that. I was like, okay, that's pretty. I did like that. We also stylistically get a lot of sweeping over the head shots throughout this trailer, which are very original trilogy-esque, and yeah, they look fine. I like the detail of the flying beast. Presentation of what I'm seeing the VFX, so far, big step up from that teaser we got, which I think everyone predicted because they have more development time to make things look great. I'm just hoping the episodes are as polished as this trailer seems to be in terms of the VFX, and it's not just they chose their best VFX to front load this trailer with. And we then quickly cycle through the elven homes, the dwarven homes, the man homes, and the halfling homes. And I actually really dig each one's look. They kind of have the recognizable architecture and grandeur that you should expect in this age, while also feeling a bit young in a way, which does fit. This should be the time of immense magics and power, and it's not like, you know, the movies we saw from Peter Jackson where things are so old and decaying and dying. There should be an energy to things, and I think we're so far hitting in that vein, though I will say here we did get what looked like some of the weakest visuals, but nothing was bad. I like that we get a little shot of halflings partying in the woods. It is very, very nice. Yeah. Fuck yeah, halflings. We then get my least favorite section of this trailer, which is the conversation between Galadriel and the other elf, who's a name I can't remember right now. The way these actors are lit and put in their environments, it just doesn't feel super great to me. And their dialogue feels very, oh, this is trailer dialogue, which we've seen come more and more common in our shows and movies, dialogue that's purely invented for trailers that oftentimes is not even in the final project. I think we have a 50-50 shot of the line of like, you have not seen what I've seen being repeated twice, actually being in the show. Because from a writing standpoint, that is a trailer line of dialogue. We get a lot more of these sweeping shots of immense cities and architectures. They look great, and I'm very happy with how they're being presented, but we also have this one specific shot of like severe weather, and that was something I actually really liked in the original movies, and I'm happy to see it here. The fact that weather was a motherfucker for our party at times, and yeah, they're traveling across grand distances and need to get through some harsh climates, so I hope weather is a villain in its own right, or antagonist. And then we get our first look at the bad side of stuff, with right after those lines of "you've not seen what I've seen" repeated twice, and there seems to be some great evil force in the back and a bunch of bodies floating in the foreground. And I don't want to get into spoiler conjecture theory stuff. I know a lot of people want to go into this totally blind, but this I'm very hesitant on. It does feel like there's weight and power behind the evil being presented. It also feels a bit MCU to me and not Tolkien. I could be completely wrong in the context of what we see this in the show with. It could fit and work, but it feels like a display of power that you previously would have gotten in the MCU and not necessarily from a Lord of the Rings endeavor, because the magic within Lord of the Rings, if you've seen the movies, you've read the books to an extent as well, is much more reserved and held back, except this is an age where I guess it should be. I need to readjust my thinking to being appropriate for the time within Middle-earth this is actually taking place in. So maybe I'm completely off base here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I like the design for the ships. They got some wingy boys. That's cool. They look a lot more tribal, which I really like for the presentation of them. God, it just still does have that Amazon Studio gloss. Like, all their shows are so glossy in this way that I have a really hard time placing it. I don't necessarily love that, though I do really love how beautiful some of these shots are. They really seem to be leading into the whimsy and grandeur of Middle-earth and Tolkien. Every dwarf looks like Santa Claus to me. I've been holding that back for a long time. Every time I see a Lord of the Rings dwarf in live action, I immediately think like ginger Santa Claus, black-haired Santa Claus, blonde Santa Claus. You can't unknow that about me. It's just what I think every single time. We see these dwarves breaking something open, which I personally think may be tied to the meteor we see falling through the sky. I'm not entirely sure. And I actually really am looking forward to seeing more and more dwarven culture. Cavalry, give me a cavalry charge. Give me so many more cavalry charges, please. Oh, I love cavalry charges. Ooh, they flexed us a little bit there. They zoomed in on the armor of the horses. They were like, we know. That looks damn good, doesn't it? And I'm going to be honest, it looks pretty damn good. Weather again for someone on a boat. I love having characters on boats with storms. It's just a trope that I enjoy immensely. Ooh, Planet of the Apes beach shot. That's what this is. You can't argue with that. That's what it is. I did like that look at mankind as well. That was okay. I'm being won over here, damn it. I went from being very hit or miss to now leaning more into like, there could be some... Fuck, I'm feeling some hype build in me. All right, very Arthurian, everyone put their swords together moment. I like that. I mean, that was so inspirational for Tolkien. It's cool to see them having something that feels very Arthurian being put in there as well. I'm still not sure about the whole Galadriel being a boss warrior woman interpretation. I think there's like one line of dialogue, if I remember correctly, in some of Tolkien text that could justify this approach, and it just seems very much so like they're taking one thing and trying to turn it into a lot for that character. But if they need a character who's going to be more aggressively out there exploring, doing this fighting stuff, I don't hate that they're doing it with Galadriel, but it doesn't feel necessarily right for the Galadriel we've seen, but I'm still a little confused on whether or not this is supposed to be canon with Peter Jackson's movies or if it's entirely separate. So, you know, who knows? So this is going to be something the show's going to have to justify in its own right. Oh, halfling feet! Tarantino's very happy right now. Thought we were going to get one last shot after the music stops, because that's what they do in every trailer ever. But I guess not. I like that we ended with some halflings just walking off down a hill. I know these trailers are the best of the best the show has to offer in a lot of ways to get you hype. I'm trying to hold back down and tamper expectations because I've been lied to before by trailers. And so I'm feeling a bit more positive than I was, if I'm being honest. It is a very different look at Middle-earth. I think I'm going to have quite a bit of time for adjusting for that. It does look a little too polished, but there is some things that definitely, as a Middle-earth fan who's read the Silmarillion once a long time ago, made me go, oh, all right. So I'm confident there will at least be really great moments in this show in terms of maybe some spectacle that's fantastic or some visuals, because just the visuals alone here on face value are really outstanding at points. Whether or not the whole story's still going to line up, of course, like everyone else, I'm still really wanting to know and curious, but I am currently placing my hype levels at a controlled 6 out of 10. I'm starting to shake a little. I'm starting to shake as the hype's building, but I'm keeping it down. I'm keeping it down. I'm remembering the last times I've been hurt. But you, let me know what you think of this Lord of the Rings trailer for the Rings of Power in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you'd like to support what I do here. I was supposed to drop a Malison video today, but I had to delay it because reacting to this was more important. Have a great one, y'all. Bye!